But I do want to bring on our first guest. He's a magnificent young man. Nobody else has aroused so much passion during the decade of the 60s. I have known him almost from the beginning. He came to New York first as a brash, arrogant, obnoxious youngster. Nothing about him has changed. Except for the palpable decline in his pugilistic skills, because once he was a very great fighter, now he is a worn relic of the past, a faded hero of yesteryear, living off weak opponents at the moment, but still mouthing words that he can no longer employ the skills to back up. I've traveled the world with him. I've seen him alienate nation after nation with his braggadocio, and he still proclaims to be that which he is no longer, the heavyweight champion of the world. So I am going to bring out, in all of the futility that emblazons his current efforts, the former heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali.
I sat back there.
Don't touch me, I'll deck you.
I sat back there and I listened to every word you said. Howard, every time you open your mouth, you should be arrested for air pollution. You give me more trouble. You give me more trouble than my opponents. Now, like, heard you were going to host a show, so I thought I would give you the honor of coming to talk with you. Now, what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk with you, first of all, about the fact that you would still be in impoverished anonymity in this country if I hadn't made you famous.
Now listen, listen. No, he's awful serious. I mean, you told me you made Floyd Patterson popular, but you know yourself, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't really be who you are today. Because every time I fight, go to foreign countries, you would always be there. You never would have gotten to those countries if it wasn't me. And lately, you haven't been able to follow me because I understand your budget is much cheaper.
What was it you told me? Don't make so much of that football guy, Dandy Don. We're still the #1 act. Is that what you told me when you were in training for Frazier?
When was that?
When you came to the pool at the Americana Hotel and said, "Where's the white guy giving me all the trouble?"
You Jewish.
I do want to find out about your recent antics. I want to know why you continue to fight opponents who are obviously not qualified to meet you.
Well, Howard, right now, you know, it's a good question. And I think this is why people like you and like to hear us, because you say what you feel, I say what I feel. You ask me questions that some don't like, many want to hear. And you don't pull no punches. So what, like, I'm fighting the best men that are around for me to fight. I'm giving them all a chance. I could just sit down and I would say, wait for Joe Frazier, but Mac Foster, who I just fought, was ranked #5 in the top 10 of the world. Here's a man who's been training all his life for the big time and probably never wouldn't have gotten the payday that he got if he hadn't fought me. Getting ready to fight, say, George Chuvalo, Canadian. All Canada's behind him. I'm sure I'll beat him. But like
Of course you're sure you'll beat him.
He's having another shot at the title. And like, what's his name? The boy you criticized,
Buster Mathis?
Yes, who was the one who fought Joe Frazier for his so-called title during my
Muhammad, we didn't
exile.
criticize Mathis. We
No.
criticized you.
Why did
You weren't in shape for the fight.
Well, if I wasn't in shape for the fight, Mathis didn't say I wasn't in shape. You said that somebody said...
Mathis, he collapsed from fatigue.
No, he collapsed. That was the 12th round. That was the 12th round. And a lot of people are saying that I'm not in shape for my fights, but like, how much more shape do I have to be in? I'm still unscratched. I'm prettier than you, and you're a sports announcer. I know I'm prettier than you. If you look at me and look at you, I look better than you, and you don't box. So what type shape do I have to be in? I win all of my fights. It's no. I would ask you
Will
this
you do me a
question.
favor? Stand up and take your jacket off. I want the public to see that belly.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Just
Go
ask
ahead.
you a question. Let's pretend it's my show for 1 minute. All right.
It's a disaster
Would you say
already.
that when I fought, say, all of the fellows that I've been fighting lately, would you say that they were in shape?
Yeah, except for Mathis. He didn't look
Matthew,
real good to
well,
me.
how did he go 12 rounds with me?
Because you weren't doing anything.
I wasn't
You were
doing
slow-footed, the
nothing. You should
hand
have
and
been
foot
in there.
speed gone, the
If
trick.
I was hitting
As your
you-
manager, Angelo
if
Dundee,
I
your
was
trainer,
hitting
sitting
you-
right there, told me
If I was
earlier, I don't know
hitting
what
you-
we're going to
if
do
I
to
was
get the
hitting
lad
you-
serious.
Look, Joe Frazier, I wasn't in shape when I fought Frazier, many of them said. I was off 3 years. But yet it was Joe Frazier who had to be under intensive care for 1 month. When I fought Mac Foster, I was 226. They say the heaviest of my career. Mac Foster the other day just got out of the hospital in Japan. They wouldn't let him leave the country. Everybody I'm fighting lately is ending up in the hospitals. I'm unscratched, I'm unmarked, I'm overweight, I'm fat, but yet I'm always winning. And if I get in shape, it'll be a murder, wouldn't it?
As a matter of fact, your record for knockouts, I mean one-punch knockouts, is absolutely non-existent. You lack the killer instinct.
Only one time
You no
when I fought
longer have
Sonny
the
Liston.
hand and the
Only-
foot speed.
only
You're
when I fought-
overweight. You're not serious about your profession.
I'm
and
not
a decision
serious.
is about to be made by Angelo Dundee no longer to handle you. Is that right, Angie?
No, why would you? Is this true, Angelo? Why would you? He's trying to cause dissension. I'm on him, and he's trying to put me on Angelo. But let me tell
What's
you
your
something.
evaluation of the men Frazier's fighting? Terry Daniels, Ron
I
Stander.
think Frazier's in a position where, like, when you're the champion, like he is, you have to fight anybody, but you have to be paid for it. And the college boy just fought Terry Daniels. Somebody put up the money, which was sufficient. And who's he fighting the next fight?
Ron Stander,
Ron
a
Stander.
heralded pugilist from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yes, but somebody thinks enough of it to put up probably $250,000. So who are we to complain when somebody thinks enough of him to put up $250,000? And Frazier would be out of his mind if he didn't take it, because he's in it for a living. He's got a big family.
All
so
right,
I can't criticize
final
his opponents.
question, because then I want to go to the audience for questions. Do you think Frazier is ducking you on the rematch? You guys can't fight again unless you fight the Jack Kent Cook, and he wants it in
yes,
September.
I think he is. I think he's ducking because, like, I'm busy. Frazier, like, I have 7 more fights lined up in various countries, including Russia, of all places, if Frazier don't fight. But I think that Frazier's still recuperating from the physical punishment he took, as quiet as it's kept. And I think that they're picking opponents for him. They can't really hit him in his head too hard, because the 2 fellas he's fighting, I think if I fought them, I'd be run out of the country. I wouldn't fight them. But at least the fellas I'm fighting are much better. But you at least heard of George Chuvalo, you heard of James Ellis, you heard of Buster Mathis, you heard of Jurgen Blinn. So what I'm going to say, Mac Foster.
Jurgen Blinn, hair cheesecake.
I think as soon as Frazier really recuperates, he knows where my manager is. His manager know how to contact me, and as soon as they're physically in shape, I think they'll be ready.
All right, these folks, I would think, would want to ask you some questions, and we're going to give them the opportunity to ask us both questions. We'll be back right after these messages. I think maybe you're about to face some people who'll prove tougher than Frazier for you, Muhammad. You up to the challenge?
No, I'm ready. These are all my people. They, they recognize who the real champion is.
All right, let's begin. We'll call upon you as you raise your hands. Let's begin with this lady in the blue dress right there.
Since you are vocal and you are a philosopher, do you have any political ambition?
No, I don't. I don't have no political ambitions. No, I don't. I don't control it. I don't write the books, and the problems that I'm confronting with politics have played no part in them.
That gentleman back there.
Do you think you would have won the Frazier fight had you not messed around in the 7th and 8th rounds?
I think I played around for 4 or 5 rounds that I shouldn't have, and I lost the 11th round. He shook me up completely. And the 15th round, he didn't shake me up like the 11th round, but he knocked me down. And I was right up at the count of 3, but you lose a round when you're knocked down. So I know at least 6 rounds that I lost, but I think I won 9. I think that if the fight was judged round by round, punch by punch, and compared to the physical damage done to both fighters, there wouldn't have been no doubt that I won. But since the tax situation being like it is, it ain't really bad that we get 2 chances.
This gentleman right here.
Have you ever had any regrets about not going into the Army?
Not really, no.
Mr. Cosell, I'd like to know what Joe Namath is really like.
What Joe Namath is really like? He's a sensitive young man, very bright, who's got a great deal of charisma. He and the gentleman to my right are the 2 great name stars of their time. They fill a room by their very presence. He's also a swinger, and he likes young women who look like you. This young lady right here. Hold on till we get that room over there.
Right, have you ever been an athlete?
Have I ever been an athlete? Depends upon the form, dear. But I was all Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn and stickball for 7 years.
Were you ever in top physical condition now? Can you judge
So how
him?
can you say he wasn't in?
Was I ever in top physical
Can
condition?
you judge him?
Let me tell you something. In May of 1966, when Ali was about to go against Henry Cooper for the 2nd time and was in training over there, I trained Cooper in the Thomas A. Becket gym. Bar, that's what it really was, a British pub up on the 2nd floor. Cooper's manager, Jimmy Wicks, saw me work out and said, "You should fight Ali, not my man." He was right.
Mr. Cosell, I'd like to know if you think that the Heisman Trophy, as it stands now, being always given to someone in the offensive backfield, is turning into a farce, the way they gave it out to
I
Pat
expressed
Sullivan.
myself in that regard at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga branch, some months ago. Heisman Trophy is a farce for many reasons. It's voted upon by a massive number of sports writers who in most cases haven't even seen the players play for whom they're voting. That's item number 1. Item number 2 is that backs can't be compared with defensive linemen. There is no yardstick for measurement. Differences of position require different skills. Item number 3, no player from a black college has ever gotten a single vote for the Heisman Trophy. Look at the roster of professional football. Leroy Kelly, Morgan State. Willie Davis, the great Green Bay end, number 87 of the past from Grambling. Buck Buchanan from Grambling. How in the world do you have anything with meaning when players like these have never even gotten a single vote? I think it's a farce. This gentleman in the striped shirt.
Muhammad, is Howard really your friend?
Is Howard my friend?
Yeah, is he really your
Next
friend?
question. Well, I'll tell you.
Should we tell him the
Howard
truth?
Howard Cosell is a man of his profession, and he's tops in the business. And same with me and mine. And he's independent, I'm independent. He don't need me, and I don't need him. He speaks his piece, I speak mine. He respects me, I respect him. But I can't say he's my friend.
How long would he last in the ring with you?
How long will he last? You mean how hard would the blow have to be? Listen, Howard Cosell is, he's a good man with his brains. He's not a fighter. And in the long run, he proves to be more successful than most fighters. He uses his brains.
Do you think there should be a gate in the ring for him to run out in case, you know what I mean, an escape route when he fights you?
No, he's one of the best men in the sport announcing field, and I miss him when he's not at ringside promoting my fights, because he and I makes a good team. But one day I promise to slap him.
The gentleman in the rear row.
I'd like to address a question to you, if I may. Did you enjoy the banquet we attended together in Columbus, Ohio in January, just the past January?
Very much. I'd like to say publicly, I think the best annual football banquet in the country is the one conducted by the Columbus Touchdown Club. You mean the one that Dandy Don and Humble Howard, both MC.
The one we just attended in January. I'd like to ask one of Muhammad. In fact, no matter what they say, Muhammad, I still think you're a champion.
We'll be right back.